Welcome everyone. You're watching our special Gold Quest. I'm Shivani Gupta. We'll take you through all the action and the color from Rio and the Olympic Games. Joining me in the studio is sports commentator Novi Kapadia. Joining us from Rio, our consulting editor Boria Majumdar and also our group editorial director Kali Puri. Let's start with the big headline at this moment. Dipa Karmakar creating history by making the final of vault in gymnastics early this morning. Deepa is the first Indian woman, remember, to participate in the Olympics, and while she didn't do well in the other apparatus, she has made the final of vault, competing with the likes of Simone Biles. Deepa finished 8th in the qualification with 14.850 points to make the cut and will now have a golden opportunity to showcase her talent in the final on Sunday. Let's go across to Kali Puri, who was witnessing Deepa and the other gymnasts in the qualification round. Kali, what an amazing moment for Indian sport, isn't it? To have a gymnast in contention, but to also have her make the final.
It was amazing, Shivani. I felt so proud being there, you know, but also it was very lonely because she was on her own and there aren't obviously that many Indian supporters out here as compared to the other countries, and all the other gymnasts had a lot of support. So my heart really went out to her, and at that moment in time, because it was the first qualifier, I didn't know that she'd made history or whether she'd made the cut, but we knew that she was 8th. Me and Boria were constantly in touch, and then I watched the second qualifiers and I saw Simone do her fantastic routine on the beam and the other apparatus as well. She was amazing. She was on top of her game, and at that point as well we knew that she had made the cut. But then there was a third qualifier, at which point both me and Boria were not in the stadium, so we were waiting and we were checking the scores all the time till finally the result came and we knew she had made it. So I saw history in the making, but at that time I didn't know that it was history being made.
Very nicely put.
That's right. Boria, huge moment for this young girl, isn't it? She's already created such a revolution of sorts for gymnastics in India. Now to see her showcase her talent in the final is going to be absolutely amazing, but it's going to be a lot of pressure as well.
Yeah, at the same time, it's pressure gone. I mean, you know, she was coming here to make the final. And that's Bishesha Nondi's thing, right? Her coach constantly said, make the final, make the final. She's already a super celebrity in India by making the final as the first ever Indian gymnast. So yes, and it's only vault, Shivani, not the 5 apparatus that she has to now compete in. And if you see, in the first routine, she got a 15.1. So if she does get a 15 plus, that will be quite special in the vault final. But as I said, she's exceeded expectations. She's the bright light so far in a rather gloomy Olympics for India. And as Kali said, she saw history in the making. Now 2 days later she will see history being made. Who knows, podium finish perhaps a tad too far, but even in the top 5 will be fantastic.
Absolutely. Of course, remember, as Kali was also mentioning, Simone Biles from US, 19-year-old world champion, multiple world champion, is really the girl to beat in this competition. But Novi, historically, just put this in perspective, to have an Indian in a gymnastics final.
See, let's put this in perspective. 54 women in the Indian contingent. For the first time, 45% are women competitors.
Right.
And she has really done what, in a way, Karna Maleswari did for women's weightlifting,
right,
what Mary Kom has done for women's boxing,
what Sania has done for women's tennis.
Done for women's tennis, you know, by being a torchbearer.
Yeah.
And hopefully, coming from a small town in Tripura, you know, this can set sort of, you know, set Indian women taking to gymnastics.
Yeah.
And more, so it can hopefully be a roller coaster ride. And that is what Dipa Karmakar has done.
I'm hoping that this would start off a revolution enough for India to have a team in the gymnastics event, isn't it?
That
Kali, wouldn't that be great to have 5 of our gymnastics at the event?
See, this is what I mean, Shivani, right? Like the US team, because they were in the second qualifiers and I saw them. All of them were cheering each other. They were hugging each other when something went wrong. And I could see the moral support they offered each other, right? Which was obviously not there for Deepa, right? Plus, there was a big difference in the kit, which is some of the things that we've been discussing. And Boria has been doing a lot of special work on it. But you could just see it. Like the US kit was... It was stunning, right, compared to anybody else's kit. It was really top of the line, and you can see it in the way it looks. you know.
Right.
And so I felt like, okay, you know, I hope that she's able to inspire more women so that in 2020 it's not just her and she's got a whole team that supports her and they're all together and can create that, you know, support for each other.
Right. Deepa, certainly turning out to be a bright spot for India so far after 2 days of action. It was heartbreak for the Indian women's archery team. They lost 4-5 to Russia in the quarterfinals late last night. Both India and Russia were locked at 4 points after 4 rounds, and that took them to the shoot-off. The Russians started brilliantly, firing a 10-pointer. India replied with a 7 from Bambayala Devi, and the Indian team, comprising also of Dipa Karmakar and Lakshmi Rani Majhi, eventually fell short by 2 points to Russia's 25. The loss brought an end to India's archery campaign in the team event, although all the 3 of them will now compete in the individual event. Former world number 1 shooter Hina Sidhu was eliminated in the qualification round of the 10-meter air pistol event. She finished 14th with 380 points. She will now try and make amends when she competes in the 25-meter pistol scheduled for August 9th. Boria, we will talk about the action lined up today, and it's mouth-watering action for India. But so far, if you look at everything else, it's turned out to be a little disappointing, isn't it? Especially the shooters.
Absolutely. Extremely disappointing, I'd say. It's a gloomy Olympics for the first 2 days for India, except Dipa Karmakar and the hockey teams, women and men. So, yes, I mean, I would hope Gagan Narang and Abhinav Vidra set the tone right, because they are the 2 top bosses we have in Indian shooting, been there for a while. But Shivani, if anyone can, Abhinav can. I mean, we both know for the last 4 years, 3 years, what Abhinav has been doing.
Yes.
And I'm in constant touch with him. I can tell you if anyone's in the zone, he is. But just for viewers, I must tell you where we are, okay? Very quickly. Right behind us is the tennis venue, and Kali, who says she doesn't want sport, she's just witnessed the Novak Djokovic Del Potro match that you mentioned in your headline. So that's where we are. We just witnessed the tennis match, but coming back to shooting, Abhinav and Gagan hopefully will start India's campaign with a medal. They did so in London, they did so in Beijing, and hopefully they'll do it the 3rd time round.
Yes, we'll come to that in just a bit.
That in the morning tomorrow, I'm going to Christ the Redeemer to pray for Bindra and hope that he makes the final tomorrow.
All right. Novi, you know, how do we look at performances from the women's archery team and especially Hina Sidhu? Do you think that they weren't medal contenders and it would have been outlying performance for them to win a medal, and therefore maybe we should check our disappointment, or is it fair?
I think the women's archery is slightly disappointing. You see, they've been there in Rio since about 10th July. So they should have got used to the weather conditions, the fluctuating winds. And it's again, they seem to panic in pressure situations. 2012 London, we thought they were young, they were intimidated by the atmosphere at Lord's Cricket Ground. But now they are much more experienced. I think a little bit expectations go soaring because we have to make a distinction between these World Cups. In sports like archery and weightlifting, they have several World Cups. In India, we get carried away because we think of the Football World Cup and the Cricket World Cup, which is overreaching. You know, so the Olympics is the ultimate in archery. And again, I think it was a loss of nerve, because if Deepika Kumari had managed a bullseye in the end, we could have taken Russia to, you know, the tiebreaker. I think they did well.
They did well.
Well,
Yeah,
they've
it was a
taken
close
it to
one.
the tiebreaker, led 2
one.
sets to 1.
Yeah. Boria, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Shivani, you know, I thought in that, after leading 4-2, in that set, the last shot, when that sort of borderline 8 was given in favor of India, you needed to tie, and you were through. You just needed to tie to go through. 55-54, you lost that set. That's where nerves come in. Deepika Kumar is your top archer. Finish it off, goddammit. Don't lose nerve there. Not a 6, not a 7. Lakshmi Rani Majhi broke down after that, saying, you know, the whole world is coming crashing down. But that's not the point. The point is, you are losing, you are winning 4-2, and you close a match. That's why you're the world's number 3 team. That's why we are hoping for a medal. That's why Lords. That's why 2012. You should learn your lessons. There is no excuse as far as I'm concerned.
No, I'm sorry, Shivani, I want to butt in. I know Boria is very passionate about this, but for me, the whole thing of Olympics being about, you know, just losing by a feather's whisker almost, which is how we explained how we lost, right? That is so heartbreaking. You have worked 4 years. You're almost there. It's like 1 millimeter.
That's
it's
sport.
just so tight. It is so tough. It's so heartbreaking. Boria is used to it because he's been covering this for ages. But for me, it's really hard to digest. You work for something for 4 years and it's gone in a couple of seconds.
That's right. That's the kind of heartbreak that a lot of athletes have to deal with.
The nerve or the heart to be able to do that.
That's right. Only very few go back as champions. The rest have to mull over a lot of failures after the Olympics. That's just the nature of the event. But the build-up to this Olympics has been marred by several controversies, and the games, even as they go on, these controversies are increasing. What's worse, it's the athletes that are suffering due to poor planning and management of the organizers. Lack of basic amenities already have forced many athletes to leave the Olympics village and stay outside. Remember, the Indian contingent has been at the receiving end. It all started with the hockey team not getting proper facilities. There was no proper furniture for them, and the hockey coach even had to arrange furniture on his own. And then there was, of course, the issue of their equipment and kit. Again, we brought you visuals of the coach going out and buying that. Now, national badminton coach Gopi Chand has also expressed his concerns of the facilities. Gopi went on to say that the Delhi Commonwealth Games, which were criticized heavily for being poorly organized, were actually better than the facilities at Rio. Now, more Indian athletes have come out and open to criticize the facilities. Listen into this exclusive chat with India's track and field athletes with our consulting editor, Boria Majumdar.
I'm joined by a bunch of Indian athletes right in front of the Athletes Plaza in the village. To start with Ashwini, then Manpreet, then Sapna and Sraboni. She's doing the 200, she's doing the 20-kilometer walk, she's doing shot put, and Ashwini, obviously, all of us know, is doing the relay. Let me first ask, there's been a lot of talk about facilities in this village. Is it good enough? Is it comparatively, how do we compare it with the one with the Commonwealth Games? Why don't you start? Commonwealth Games के village के साथ इसका comparison बहुत बार हो रहा है, और आज सवेरे मुझे गोपी चंद कह रहा था कि this village Commonwealth Games comparison में आता ही नहीं है. Commonwealth Games was much better. Is that true?
सच्चाई है उनके बातों में, क्योंकि कॉमनवेल्थ जो हुआ था दिल्ली में 2010 में, दिस इज द बेस्ट एवर गेम्स जो आज तक का हुआ है, क्योंकि जितनी फैसिलिटीज इंडिया ने कॉमनवेल्थ में दिया हुआ है, विलेज से लेकर एंटरटेनमेंट से लेकर फूड से लेकर हर चीज़ की कोई मतलब मेहमान नवाजी जितने भी किया, मतलब कंपैरेटिव दिस इज दिल्ली कॉमनवेल्थ वाज बेटर, बहुत ही बेटर था. और हम कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते ओलंपिक, क्योंकि इंडिया स्टैंडर्ड रखता है ओलंपिक गेम्स कंडक्ट करने के लिए. जो इंडिया के अंदर कैपेबिलिटी है अगले अगर ओलंपिक चाहे तो कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि जो कॉमनवेल्थ में जो देखा है वो आज तक कभी हुआ ही नहीं है, सही बताऊं तो इट इज बेटर वन.
इसके बारे में जो ये कह रहे हैं, कौन सा फैसिलिटीज इस विलेज में कम है जो कॉमनवेल्थ में था?
कॉमनवेल्थ में हमें रूम में काफ़ी फैसिलिटीज़ थे, जैसे हमारा वहाँ पे खाने का भी फ्रीज़र वगैरह सब, इवन लॉन्ड्री वगैरह सिस्टम सब बेटर था यहाँ से. यहाँ पे नहीं है, यहाँ पे है लेकिन बेसमेंट में है. आप वहाँ पे खड़े रहो, एक घंटा खड़े रहो, कोई अरेंजमेंट, प्रॉपर अरेंजमेंट नहीं है यहाँ पे इनका. और जैसे ट्रेनिंग के लिए भी प्रॉब्लम है. ट्रेनिंग के लिए यहाँ से हमें 40 मिनट लगता है, बस में जाते हैं तो तब तक यही होता है कि भी एक ट्रेनिंग एक ही सेशन हो रहा है, 2 सेशन में करना मुश्किल है. आप डाउन में मुश्किल हो जाता है. वहाँ पे ये था साथ में ही है, आप वार्म अप ग्राउंड में जाते हो, वहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग करते हो, आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
आप इनके साथ एग्री करते हो?
हाँ जी, क्योंकि मैंने कॉमनवेल्थ खेला नहीं, बट मैं इंडियाई से हूँ तो मुझे काफ़ी सुनने को मिला था कि कॉमनवेल्थ ऐसा हुआ है, ये हुआ.
यहाँ पे कैसा लगा?
यहाँ पे सर जो ये करी है वो सही है कि लॉन्ड्री में हमें लाइन लगाना पड़ता है, और जैसे ग्राउंड भी जाते हैं तो वो 40 मिनट बस में लगते हैं, ट्रैफिक में कभी कभी 1 घंटा जाना 1 घंटा आना. वहाँ की प्रैक्टिस तो एक ही टाइम कर पाएंगे, तो इतना दूर स्टे दिया है. और स्टे अकोमोडेशन जो रूम है, वो रूम सिर्फ एक के लिए सेटिस्फाई है कि उसमें 2-2 बेड लगा रखे, फिर घूमने फिरने को भी जगह नहीं है.
यही पूछने वाला था, हॉकी प्लेयर्स मुझे कह रहे थे रूम में चेयर नहीं है, टेबल नहीं है.
चेयर टेबल तो कुछ भी नहीं है, वो तो बातें छोड़ो सर. टीवी नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं है, सिर्फ एक
रूम में स्पेस ही नहीं है तो चेयर टेबल रखेंगे कहाँ पे आप?
सिर्फ एक कपड़े की अलमारी है, उसमें भी हम कपड़े रखते हैं, बाकी सारा सामान हमारा लॉक बॉक्स में है.
हमारे व्यूअर्स को आप ये रूम का फोटोज भेज दीजिएगा प्लीज, बिकॉज ये ओलंपिक्स लेके इतना बड़ा बात होता है. आप कह रहे हो रूम में स्पेस नहीं है, चेयर टेबल नहीं है, तो है क्या?
बस सिर्फ 2 बेड एडजस्ट कर रखे हैं, जिसमें 2-2 एथलीट घुसा रखे हैं. वो कैसे भी रहो, आप बाथरूम देखोगे तो रूम में तो चलो सो जाते हैं हम, बाथरूम में हम नहाते भी खड़े हो गए, इतना सा छोटा सा है, तो सब प्रॉब्लम है.
आपको भी ये सेम चीज प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है?
हाँ सेम प्रॉब्लम हो रही है सबको, सभी को, सिर्फ मुझे नहीं, सभी को प्रॉब्लम होती है।
ऑफिशियल्स को बताया
डेफिनेटली
बाकी 2 कंट्रीज ऑलरेडी हैव मूव्ड आउट ऑफ द विलेज, तो आप लोग क्यों नहीं बाहर जाते हैं?
हाँ बताए हैं, लेकिन अभी पता नहीं हम लोग क्यों नहीं जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि अभी कंपटीशन स्टार्ट भी हो गई है। अभी एक जगह पे रहने के बाद फिर दूसरा जगह पे जाने के लिए हम लोग को भी दिक्कत हो सकती है कि फिर पैक करना, फिर जाना, ट्रैवल करना, ट्रैवल से ज़्यादा हम लोग ये होते हैं।
सही है, बिकॉज मैंने ये सुना भी है कि आप लोगों का जो गियर है, जो लेके आप लोग कंपटीशन में पार्टिसिपेट करोगे, पीछे इंडिया लिखा नहीं था, इज दैट ट्रू?
नहीं, पहले लिखा नहीं था, लेकिन हमारे से मीन्स लेके गए हैं अभी प्रिंट करने के लिए।
आने के बाद
वो प्रिंट करने के लिए लेके गए हैं यहाँ आने के बाद।
हम सबको दिखता है कि एब्सोल्यूट नॉनसेंस किट है, आई मीन, एंड बाकी जब मैं ब्रिटिश किट देखता हूँ, स्टेला मैकार्टनी इटालियन किट देखता हूँ, आप लोगों को खराब लगता है क्या? That why can't
खराब तो लगता है, क्योंकि किट उनके अकॉर्डिंग तो हमारी बहुत बुरी हालत है। इवन लीलिन से तो शिवनेश बेटर समझते, सभी का उनका बेटर था, शिवनेश का बढ़िया था। ये तो बिल्कुल ही खराब हो गया है अभी हमें जो लग रहा है। लेकिन चलो, अभी हम इसमें ज़्यादा कुछ कह नहीं सकते, क्योंकि फिर प्रॉब्लम भी आती है कई बार।
All right, Boria and Kali still with us. Boria, quite remarkable, isn't it? 6 years after the Commonwealth Games, suddenly redemption for them. Suddenly everybody realizes they were good.
At least the village was good, not the corruption.
But so
yeah,
many
in terms of
stories on the
facilities, this is
village.
turning out to be quite a disaster, Shivani. Absolute disaster. Absolutely. I mean, it's a
Shivani,
disaster.
Both me and Boria feel that they've got the big things right, like the stadiums are fantastic, and all those pieces are right. But they've got the small things wrong.
Let's show you something. This is the Olympic Park, okay? I mean, on our left, and as non-rights holders, we are not going to show you Olympic Park because we are legally doing it. But if Manish pans it, if Kali moves away, see the road. Where's the signage? Now, this is Rio at its best. This is Olympic Park on my left, which I'm not showing you. But the other side of the road, show me an Olympic signage. There's nothing. Now, that's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned, because you get your basics right, which is not the case. You've got your bigger things right, like the stadiums, but not the basics right.
So, Shivani, it takes us really long to get into a stadium because we don't know which stadium is showing which sport, you know, and the volunteers are not totally briefed because it's only still day 3.
And English is a huge
English
issue.
is a huge problem. So this is a problem. And then, you know, again, little things like not having any giant screens in the entire Olympic Park. So if you're taking a break between events, you don't know what's going on. Food and water is a real problem. You heard from Boria today early in the morning that he couldn't get water till 1 p.m. and it was a really hot day. I mean, why would you just not have more food stalls, more ice cream stalls there? You know, it's just like, these are the small things.
Right, absolutely. Organizing the Olympics is absolutely not easy. In almost every game, we see some issues, but the kind of issues we're noticing in Rio with the kind of village facilities, that's, you know, a little astonishing.
Yes, it is. You see, it brings it into a wider perspective that maybe the Olympics have become too gigantic.
Too gigantic, that's right.
Everybody wants to keep expanding games, and it's becoming very difficult for one country to host a good Olympics. Either in the 21st century we rethink this idea and let a continent, I mean, football has started, you've had, you know, Korea and Japan hosting a World Cup. So could something like that be done in the Olympics? You know, of course, it's also a lot of this is nostalgia. I mean, you know, in lots of Western worlds, you do bathe in a cubicle. So, I mean, a lot of these things are little very personal problems. But for Brazil also to give them their due, when they bid for the Olympics, the economy was in a different shape. They've suffered an economic meltdown.
There's an economic meltdown, there's a political crisis in Brazil. And of course, it is a developing country, quite like India as well.
So,
the
India
same problems
shouldn't
we
dream
faced,
of hosting the Olympics yet.
The same, I think we're too far away from that. But the same problems we faced, all the criticism in the run-up and during the Commonwealth Games, it seems the same is quite happening for Rio as well. It's definitely not a London or an Atlanta, you know, or a
Beijing.
Or a Beijing.
No, I thought London was the best because I think Sebastian Coe was a brilliant organizer. And, you know, London used the existing facilities like Lord's and Wembley and Wimbledon.
There's also, of course, the issue of existing facilities, and then there's the issue of the legacy of this facility that you build, because a lot of them, even in places like London, is not getting used. Former medal winners are in action later today. India's lone individual gold winner Abhinav Bindra and 2012 Olympics bronze winner Gagan Narang in the 10-meter air rifle event, where India optimistically will hope for 2 medals. Boria, Kali and Novi are still with me. Boria and Kali spoke about the shooting hopes. Novi, what do you think? Can we get 2?
This seems rather difficult, but yes, this is India's best bet for a medal, and hopefully, shooting will take off. It's been disappointing. We were banking on at least 3 medals in shooting to hopefully reach double figures, but after the first 2 days, that doesn't seem likely. I think maybe one of them, Gagan Narang or Abhinav Bindra. For Bindra, it can be a great sayonara if he finishes with a medal.
That's right. Hockey. That's the big one coming up today, because that's going to tell us exactly what medal hopes we should have from India in this Olympics, because they're facing 2-time defending champions Germany at 7:30 p.m. India time later tonight. Boria, how's the hockey team feeling about this one?
Very, very good. I mean, they had a debriefing. The team is set because they just need one victory, Shivani, against Canada, which they will get, to make it to the quarters. So the pressure is off after that victory against Ireland, and they've done very well against Germany, except the Valencia loss 0-4. Right through last year, they've done very well. Just coming back to the Abhinav Gagan point, 8th of August, if I remember right from memory, in Beijing and in London, 3 days into the games, India got their first medal. 3 days into the games, India got their first medal in London. 3 days into the first medal in Rio. Will it happen tomorrow? Perhaps, Shivani, 3rd time lucky again.
He's a lucky number.
So maybe. And as I said, I mean, I'm constantly in touch with Abhinav and Gagan. Both of them are set, and Gagan more, because he's doing 3 events and he knows he's got a chance. So who knows? 2 medals from shooting, still a possibility.
Very quickly, Novi, the last word about the women's hockey team.
Oh, I thought brilliant, the comeback, especially Rani Rampal and, the equalizer, because I thought it was very important to get momentum. They had to at least get a result in the first match. And that's what they've done. They're up against tough competitors like world champions Argentina.
And now later today, they face
Great Britain, who they lost to in a series. But I think the match with Germany is going to be tough because the Germans peak in the Olympics. They don't bother about pre-tournaments. And so I think this will be very crucial because India, if they finish 4th in this group, will end up facing their nemesis Australia in the quarterfinal.
All right. We'll keep getting you all the action, both from Rio and from our studios as well. Kali, Boria, Novi, thanks a lot for joining us. We slip into a very short break. News and updates will continue in just 2 minutes. Goodbye.